Okay, welcome back to the foundations of sports betting. So far we've talked about the basics of betting, basic ingredients of betting, the odds. And now we're going to talk about, well, what does it take to beat the odds? That's going to be the topic of this lecture. So when the sports book presents the offerings to us, it just presents the outcomes that we can bet on and it presents their odds. But what does it take to actually beat the odds? From the bettor standpoint and also from the bookmaker standpoint. So if we want to be profitable bettors, we have to understand how bookmakers try to make money, and we have to try to work within the confines and the constraints of that system. And maybe if we're on the bookmaking side or on the industry side, if we want to be successful as bookmakers, we also have to know what it takes to be a profitable bettor, and we have to work against that, guard against that. To be a profitable bettor, we have to get paid enough, often enough. That's it. That's the key. Getting paid enough, that's the odds. That's how much we get paid when we win. And what we're going to talk about in this lecture a bit more is what it means to get paid often enough. That's the concept of probability, which is extremely important. So that's pretty much all it takes to be a profitable bettor. It's not easy, but that's pretty much the only way. We're going to place a bunch of bets. We have to make sure we're placing the bets that will pay us enough, and we have to win those bets often enough. From the standpoint of the bookmaker, we can do one of two things, and there's different approaches that we can win as bookmakers. The bookmaker can simply win by balancing the actions in a way that guarantees that it makes a profit. So that's kind of what a lot of people think bookmakers actually do. Turns out that that's not what they mostly do, because it's actually very hard to balance the action in the way that we'll describe, as we'll see. But in principle, that is a way that a bookmaker can make sure they make money, no matter what happens. But relating back to the way that bettors win, bookmakers can win just by preventing bettors from being able to do what they need to do to make profit. So in other words, the bookmaker who sets the odds can be profitable by setting the odds in a way that makes it impossible for bettors to get paid enough, often enough. Okay. So that's kind of the layout for this lecture on beating the odds, and we're going to talk about each of these in turn. And we've color-coded these here because each one of these statements here corresponds to a key betting concept. The first one, for the bettor, getting paid enough, often enough. How often is often enough? That's going to relate to the concept of break-even probability. From the bookmaker's perspective, balancing the action in a way that ensures profit. Well, what profit are they going to ensure, and how do they do it? That's the concept of vig and overround. And then finally, if the bookmaker is going to set the odds to make it impossible for the bettor to win enough, win often enough, given the odds, that's this idea of implied probability that we'll talk about as well.